If you're going on a cruise this year, then it is vital that you know what not to eat before you board. That is because what you are about to learn in this video can be the difference between having an incredible cruise or one that leads to being sick for days on end. Welcome or welcome back. Now, when most people go on a cruise, they really love the buffet. There is just so much choice and it is a great way to meet other people on the ship. So if you're like many cruisers, you may be concerned about something called the cruise buffet trap, which is basically when people come onto you while you're eating at the buffet. But no, I'm kidding, I'm talking about something completely different today. I've been on hundreds of cruises and I have never had anyone come onto me at the buffet, but I have seen some things that shocked me. And even more importantly, I've learned a lot about food safety and what you should watch out for when eating at the buffet on a cruise. And that's what I'm going to share with you right now. Now, the first thing that you lines want to watch out for has to do with these little condiment bottles that you see on your table. Now, they look clean, but did you know that they are actually one of the germiest things that you will touch on a cruise ship? Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use them. After all, who doesn't love ketchup with their French fries? But what I am saying is that you should remember that they are high risk. So try to remember not to touch the handles too much. Use a napkin and make sure that you wash your hands thoroughly. Something else that you may want to avoid is those lovely fresh flowers that you see on every table. And yes, they are lovely, but according to cruise ships, they're off limits. In fact, Carnival Cruise Line specifically says to not touch these flowers, and Royal Caribbean echoes that advice. The reason why is that the flowers can easily be knocked over, and then you may spill your drink or sauce on them, and then they can die and create an unsanitary situation. Now, I don't know about you, but I probably would want to eat my fries in a restaurant if someone had knocked over a flower on the table. How about you? Now, speaking of drinks, did you know that you should avoid getting free drinks at the buffet? Now, on some cruise lines, there is an additional cost. For example, on Carnival, there is a beverage package that includes coffee and tea at the buffet, but alcoholic drinks do come at an extra charge. Now, on other cruise lines, like Norwegian, they offer bottled water for free, but if you want a soda, it does come at an extra charge. And even on other cruise lines, like Princess, you won't pay extra for a soda or coffee, but the drinks might be a little slow coming. And that is because it is typically cheaper for the cruise line to hire servers to pour soda or coffee than it is to pay staff to hand out cups and then have people serve themselves. So what does this mean for you? Well, if you are at the buffet and you want a free coffee or a free water, just head over to the station where they're serving it. If you want a specialty drink, head over to the bar. Something else that you lines want to watch for at the cruise buffet has to do with the carving station. It looks amazing and it does smell amazing, especially if it's prime rib. However, this is one area that you'll want to watch out for food poisoning. That's because the carving station tends to be at room temperature for long periods of time. And so it is important to make sure that you only eat meat that is piping hot and avoid any that is just at room temperature. Of course, also avoid touching the carving station, including the sneeze guard. Now, something that you may want to do is go to the carving station early on so that you can choose from the healthiest selections. Once people start serving themselves and digging in, it is likely that the healthier options will sell out quickly and there may be less healthy options left later on. Now, something else to watch out for at the carving station or anywhere else at the buffet, for that matter, is the serving utensils. For example, serving tongs are generally fine, but you'll want to avoid buffets where people are using their hands to serve themselves. Now, you may be wondering why you should avoid eating buffet desserts. Now, think about it. If you're on vacation, you're likely eating more than usual and you're probably more tired. And so those little bite-sized desserts that look so delicious are often left out for long periods of time. They sit on a warmer or out in the open air, and so they're just sitting there waiting for someone to eat them. And that means that they could easily be a breeding ground for bacteria. Now, of course, that means that you should exercise caution and even use your best judgment if you do decide to eat them. For example, if it's out in the open air, you'll want to avoid anything that looks moist or wet or maybe has been touched by others, like an ice cream sundae. And if it's on a warmer, avoid anything that looks dry, like cookies. Another thing to watch out for are items that are left out at the buffet. If you see something that's been sitting out for a while or is past its expiration date, be sure to let a crew member know. Now, in most cases, it's unlikely that anything dangerous would happen, but it's best to be safe than sorry. Now, there are some foods that you should avoid at the cruise buffet altogether. These include soft cheeses, sushi, homemade or unpasteurized juices, deli meats, sprouts, raw or rare meat and eggs, as well as homemade ice cream. And you'll want to watch out for these because they are considered to be high-risk foods. And in other words, they could lead to food poisoning. Now, food poisoning is one concern that you may have while on your cruise, but there's another concern that many cruisers have. And this has to do with passengers who are getting sick on a cruise, and then there's norovirus. Now, norovirus is incredibly common on cruise ships. It is highly contagious. Even being on the same ship as someone who has it puts you at risk. And since many people go on a cruise to boost their immune system with sunshine and sea air, they may have weaker immune systems. So if you do see someone that's vomiting or experiencing diarrhea, just avoid them. And here's the thing, even if you do wash your hands after you've gone to the buffet, norovirus can live on surfaces for up to 3 days. So if you do see someone who's sick, just avoid that area. Of course, something else that you'll definitely want to watch out for is theft. It may seem obvious, but many people do get distracted at the buffet and they'll leave their valuables unattended. Now, if you do leave your phone, wallet, or maybe your glasses unattended, there's a good chance that they could be stolen. So be sure to bring a small purse or a backpack and keep it with you, keep it in front of you. And if you do need to walk away from your seat, then take your items with you. Now, I don't want to scare you off from ever eating at the buffet again, but I do think that it's important to let you know what to watch out for. But one thing that you should know is that cruise ships actually spend millions and millions of dollars each year to ensure that we stay healthy while on board. So while there are things that you should watch out for, rest assured that the cruise lines are doing everything that they can to keep us safe. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are your best tips when it comes to eating at the cruise buffet? Be sure to leave a comment below. And while you're at it, be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can get more tips and advice on how to get the most out of your cruising vacation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. And until next time, happy cruising!